Far away from the busy worlds of the galaxy, humans worked in silence. They had chosen places no one dared to visit, empty systems with dying stars, places where even the most curious alien would not waste their time. In those forgotten corners, giant machines turned in the dark, building something beyond imagination for years. The galaxy believed humans were weak compared to the ancient empires. Humans had fought hard wars before, but they were still counted as young compared to species who had ruled the stars for thousands of years. This belief gave humans the space they needed. While the galaxy argued about trade, borders, and politics, humans vanished into silence. In the shadow of collapsing suns, humans built shipyards bigger than cities. Each shipyard circled around stars that had no future. Their light was fading, their planets dead, their systems ignored, but to humans, these places were perfect. No one would spy on them here. No one would care if strange things happened here. The construction was slow, but it was careful. Every piece of metal was carried from hidden mines. Every engine was tested in the darkness of space, piece by piece. Humans built ships that looked like drifting moons. They were so big that from a distance, they looked like planets. They were dreadnoughts, weapons larger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. The workers who lived there were sworn to secrecy. They knew the galaxy would never forgive them if this secret came out. But they also knew what waited for Earth if humanity did nothing. They remembered wars where humans had almost lost everything. They remembered the arrogance of the old alien empires, who treated Earth like a child's colony. And they decided never again, one by one. The dreadnoughts began to take shape. Their frames stretched across kilometers. Entire cities could rest inside their hulls. They were armored with layers thicker than mountains. Their weapon towers rose like forests of steel, waiting to be awakened. The engineers gave each ship a heart, a reactor built from stolen alien technology mixed with human genius. The power inside each reactor was enough to burn a world. But secrecy was not easy. The galaxy was full of curious eyes. A single mistake could expose everything. That was why human fleets patrolled the borders of these systems. Every unknown signal was tracked. Every ship that came too close was erased. There were stories of alien scouts who entered human space and never returned. Their governments claimed they were lost to accidents. But in truth, they were silenced one day. A small alien spy ship drifted near one of the construction zones. It was old, nothing more than a probe with a weak engine. It scanned the area, caught a strange metallic shadow, and tried to send the image back. But before the signal could reach its masters, the probe was gone. The humans had destroyed it in a flash of light. The workers looked at each other, knowing that danger was closer than ever. The commanders of the project met in a hidden chamber inside the largest dreadnought. They spoke in quiet voices, not because they feared spies, but because the weight of what they built filled them with silence. They were making weapons that could decide the fate of the galaxy. They were making ships that could destroy fleets in minutes. Some of them wondered if humanity had gone too far. Others said it was the only way to survive. Years passed like this. The galaxy grew restless. Alien diplomats whispered in their councils, "Why are the humans so quiet?" They asked, "Where are their fleets? Why do their colonies report fewer ships every year?" Suspicion grew. Rumors spread that humans were planning something dark, but no one could prove anything. The galaxy turned its eyes back to other conflicts, forgetting the humans, and this gave humanity more time. The first dreadnought was finally complete. It was so massive that when it moved, nearby planets shook under its gravity. Its surface shone with endless armor. Its weapons were silent but ready. Engineers cheered, but commanders remained serious. They knew the galaxy would never forgive them once the secret was revealed. They knew the day of hiding would end soon. But for now, silence was their greatest weapon. The galaxy did not know, not yet. They still believed humans were only a small power, fragile and unimportant. They still believed Earth was safe to ignore. The humans allowed them to believe it, while their planet-sized dreadnoughts waited in the dark. Growing stronger each day and somewhere far beyond the stars, the galaxy continued to move blindly toward the moment it would finally learn the truth, a truth it was not ready to face, a truth that would change everything forever. Humans had built something no one else dared to build, and soon the galaxy would see it. In the shining halls of the Galactic Council, thousands of voices spoke at once. Each species sent their leaders, their diplomats, their warriors. They argued as always about trade rights, mining borders, and ancient rivalries. But this time, something different hung in the air. A silence behind the noise, everyone felt it. Though no one wished to say it loudly, it was the silence of humanity. For many years, humans had been busy in their own space. They no longer asked for new colonies. They no longer sent representatives to speak for trade. They no longer showed their fleets during peace celebrations. This silence was strange. Humans had always been bold. They argued, they demanded, they fought, and they made noise in every corner of the galaxy. Now they were quiet, too quiet at first. The Council ignored it. They thought humans were tired. Perhaps Earth was facing trouble. Perhaps their technology was falling behind. But then, scouts began to vanish. Trade ships that wandered too close to human space stopped sending signals. Small border posts belonging to alien empires reported strange shadows in the dark, gigantic structures drifting near dead stars. The whispers grew. The Yelthar, a proud reptilian race, were the first to speak it out loud. The humans are hiding something, their delegate hissed. They are building in secret. His words made the chamber tremble with laughter at first. The older empires thought it was impossible. Humans were still considered a young race. How could they hide something so large from the galaxy's eyes? But laughter turned into uneasy silence when another delegate stood. The Shear, an insectoid species with fleets spread across many sectors, raised their long arms. We lost 3 ships at the edge of human space, they said. Their last signal showed something. Massive, something that looked like a small moon, but moved like a warship. The chamber fell silent. Only the hum of translators echoed through the air. The council leader, an ancient being of crystal called the Ayadari, spoke slowly. Humans cannot build such things. They do not have the resources. They do not have the age. Perhaps your ships were destroyed by pirates. Perhaps your scouts wandered into a collapsing star system. But even the Ayadari's calm voice could not erase the unease. More reports arrived. Fragments of broken probes found near human borders. Images too blurred to prove anything but frightening enough to spread fear. Rumors of secret mines and dead systems. Rumors of factories hidden under asteroid belts. Every whisper made the council uneasy. Every whisper made the aliens remember one dangerous truth. Humans had always surprised the galaxy. They had survived wars they were not supposed to win. They had turned small ships into weapons that defeated empires far larger than themselves. If they were hiding now, it could only mean something terrible. Some demanded immediate action. We must send fleets into human space, shouted a delegate from the Croth Dominion. We must see with our own eyes what they are doing. Others warned against it. Do you wish to start another war? Asked the calm voice of the Zyran Union. If humans are hiding something, let them hide as long as they do not attack us. We should not provoke them. But the fear was spreading faster than reason. Meanwhile, deep in human space, the commanders listened to these whispers with careful ears. Their spies sat quietly in the council chambers, feeding back every word. Humans knew the galaxy was afraid, and fear was useful. It gave them more time, but the whispers were dangerous. Too much fear could push the council into action. Too much fear could bring fleets to their borders. Back in the chamber, a strange silence came once more. The council leader asked the question that many feared. What if the humans are building something larger than ships? What if they are building weapons that can destroy worlds? No one answered because deep in their hearts they all felt the same chill. What if it was true? A delegate from the Valari Alliance leaned forward, whispering with a voice that still reached every corner. Perhaps this is why they are quiet. Perhaps they are waiting until the day they no longer need the council. Perhaps they are preparing to show us all who truly rules the stars. The chamber erupted in arguments, voices rising, threats flying. But beneath it all, fear grew stronger. For the first time in centuries, the council considered uniting against one race. Fleets were quietly placed closer to human borders. Weapons were prepared in secret. Old treaties were rewritten. The galaxy was moving towards something no one could stop. Yet even as fear spread like fire, the truth remained hidden. None of them had truly seen what humans were building. None of them understood the size, the scale, the madness of it. The galaxy spoke in whispers, but the humans built in silence, and silence was far more dangerous. And while the council argued under golden lights far away in the cold darkness, a new dreadnought opened its engines for the first time. Its power rolled across space like a wave. Silent, unstoppable, unseen. The galaxy did not know it yet, but the age of whispers was ending. Soon there would be only revelation in the dark emptiness of space. The first of the human dreadnoughts was ready. It drifted near a dying star, its armored body shining faintly in the dim light. To any distant eye, it looked like a barren moon, but up close it was alive, deep within its steel walls. Thousands of humans worked like the heartbeat of a giant. Engines whispered, reactors pulsed, weapons slept in silence, waiting for the day they would be awakened. The ship was so huge that even the builders felt small inside it. Entire cities could have rested within its hollow sections. A single hangar could swallow fleets of smaller ships. Its surface was covered in endless forests of weapons, towers that pointed at the stars like waiting spears. Even the bravest engineer sometimes stopped his work just to stare, unable to believe that humanity had built such a monster. But no secret lasts forever, and this secret was too large to hide. A tiny alien probe, nothing more than a machine with a weak engine, drifted near the edge of the system. It had been searching for strange energy signals. For weeks it had found nothing. But then its sensors screamed, the probe turned, and through the dust and starlight it saw something impossible. A moving moon, a planet-sized warship. The probe took a picture. Its camera captured the faint outline of the dreadnought, jagged metal against the fading star. The image was blurred, but it was enough. The probe sent the picture through the void, a weak signal rushing toward its masters. The humans noticed it too late. By the time their defense drones destroyed the probe, the signal was already gone, far away, deep in alien territory. The image reached its destination. The sheer intelligence network decoded it. The commanders stared at the picture in disbelief. They could see the shadow of something colossal, something no human should ever be able to build. The sheer rushed the image to the Galactic Council, and soon the whispers turned into panic. The council chamber was chaos. Delegates shouted over one another. "It cannot be real," said the Ayadari, their crystal bodies glowing with unease. "The humans cannot build such a thing, this must be a trick." But the sheer slammed their claws against the floor. "It is no trick. We lost ships to this shadow, and now we have proof the humans are building a warship the size of a planet." The news spread like fire. Across the galaxy, every empire received the image. Some laughed in disbelief, calling it an illusion. Others grew pale, remembering the human wars of the past, remembering how often humans achieved the impossible. The Valari Alliance whispered among themselves, "If this is true, then humans hold a weapon greater than any fleet. A weapon that could make empires bow without a single battle." Meanwhile, in the Dreadnought's command chamber, human leaders watched the chaos unfold from their hidden network of spies. They knew the secret was no longer safe. The galaxy had seen a shadow of their creation. They knew it was only a matter of time before fleets came searching. Yet instead of fear, there was calm, for this was always part of the plan. The lead commander, Admiral Kalen, stood before a giant viewing screen. The dreadnought floated outside, silent and patient, like a predator waiting in the dark. "They know now," he said softly, "but they do not know enough. Let them guess, let them fear shadows. Fear will slow them more than any weapon." His officers nodded, knowing that panic among the aliens was more useful than secrecy. But the galaxy was not calm. Fleets began to move, not into human space yet, but close enough to watch, close enough to prepare. The Kroth Dominion gathered hundreds of warships. The Yelthar sharpened their fleets. The council debated whether to confront humans directly, but no one wished to be the first to challenge them. No one wished to face the dreadnought alone. In the outer colonies, alien civilians trembled at the rumors. Traders whispered of moons that moved through the night sky, of ships with cannons larger than cities. Stories grew wild. Some said humans had built weapons to crack planets open. Some said they had built entire fleets of these monsters. No one knew the truth, and the not knowing was worse than any fact. Inside the dreadnought, the humans continued their work. The first ship was complete, but more were being built, each one larger, stronger, deadlier than the last. Engineers tightened bolts. Scientists tested reactors. Soldiers trained in the endless corridors. The dreadnoughts were not just ships, they were fortresses, nations in the void. Humanity's answer to centuries of weakness on the council floor. One voice finally cut through the shouting. It was the voice of the Valari delegate, calm but cold. "We must accept this truth. The humans have built something we cannot ignore. If they have one dreadnought, they may have more. We must decide now. Do we confront them, or do we bow before them?" The chamber froze at those words. For the first time, the mighty Galactic Council was unsure of itself. They had faced wars, rebellions, plagues, and ancient threats, but never before had they faced the silence of humanity and the shadow of a warship that could darken stars. And as the Dreadnought drifted slowly through space, its dark surface catching the faint light of its dying star, the galaxy shivered. The first reveal had come, and it was only the beginning soon. The humans would show the galaxy what true power looked like. The Dreadnought floated in silence near a dead moon. Its vast shadow swallowed the stars. The surface of the ship was quiet, its countless towers of weapons dark, but deep inside a storm of energy waited. Humans had built this ship to be more than armor and steel. It was a test, a warning, and perhaps a promise of war. Admiral Kalen stood inside the command chamber. His hands rested on the glowing table that showed the moon outside. The rock was barren, lifeless, nothing but dust and stone. Perfect for what they needed. The engineers whispered among themselves, their voices nervous. This was the moment they had been working toward for years. The first firing of the Dreadnought's main weapon. The weapon itself was buried deep within the ship. A core of pure energy. A fusion of alien technology stolen in old wars and human designs born of desperation. For years it had been tested in secret. Small pulses in the dark. Careful calibrations that no one outside the shipyards ever saw. But now it was ready for its true test. Target locked, a young officer reported. Her voice trembled. She knew what this weapon could do. She knew that pressing one command could change history. Kalen's eyes never left the image of the moon. He raised one hand, his voice low but steady. Fire. For a moment, nothing happened. The Dreadnought's body shivered, light pulsing along its spine like veins glowing under skin. Then with a soundless scream, the weapon unleashed its fury. A beam of energy, brighter than any star, tore through the void. It struck the moon in a heartbeat. The galaxy would later say that the moon exploded. But that was not true. It shattered as if struck by the hand of a god. The surface cracked, split apart. Molten rivers spilled out into space. Entire mountains turned to ash in seconds. The moon broke into a cloud of burning fragments that spun wildly away. What had once been a world was now dust, scattered like sand across the void. Inside the Dreadnought, silence followed. The crew stared at the screen, some with awe, others with fear. No one spoke for a long moment. Then the chamber shook with the sound of cheers. Engineers cried out in triumph. Soldiers beat their fists against their armor. Humanity had done it. They had built a weapon strong enough to erase worlds. But not everyone cheered. Admiral Kalen stood still, his face hard. He knew what this meant. The galaxy would never forgive them if this secret escaped. The aliens would come with their fleets, their endless ships. They would demand humanity's surrender, and humanity would answer with these weapons. There was no turning back now. Far away, hidden probes of the galaxy recorded the strange energy burst. They were too far to capture the full truth. But the shockwave reached them. It carried whispers of destruction. Data packets raced across alien networks. Analysts studied the signals and their faces grew pale. This was no ordinary weapon. This was something new, something terrifying. In the chambers of the Galactic Council, chaos returned. Reports of the energy wave spread quickly. Some claimed humans had destroyed a planet. Others said they had broken the laws of physics. The Council shouted, "We cannot allow this. Humans must be stopped before they use it against us." The voices rose. But beneath them was the same fear that had been growing for years. Back in human space, more tests continued. Smaller weapons fired against asteroids. New systems were checked. The Dreadnought's armor was tested against volleys of fire from human fleets. Nothing broke it. Nothing even scratched its skin. The ship moved slowly but with a weight that made the stars themselves seem small. And all the while, other Dreadnoughts were being built. Shipyards glowed as workers welded massive frames. Each new warship was larger, heavier, deadlier. Humanity was not building just one weapon. They were building a fleet of monsters. The people of Earth and the colonies did not know the full truth. Only whispers reached them. Rumors of new warships. Rumors of safety at last for generations. They had feared alien domination. Now they whispered to one another. "The galaxy will fear us instead." Mothers told their children bedtime stories of ships so big they could block the sun. Fathers spoke with pride that humanity was no longer prey but predator. But in the quiet halls of command, the leaders were less certain. "If the galaxy unites against us, even Dreadnoughts may not save us," one officer warned. Kalen only nodded. That is why we must strike fear before they unite. If they believe we are untouchable, they will not dare. The dreadnought drifted away from the shattered moon. Its massive body cast shadows across the debris. Behind it, fragments of stone glowed red as they cooled. A graveyard of proof that the weapon worked. Proof that humanity now held power no one could challenge. And yet the silence was heavy. The crew cheered, but their eyes carried unease. For they had seen the truth with their own eyes. They had built something that could erase entire civilizations. They had become the architects of terror, and somewhere in the darkness of the galaxy, alien fleets were moving, drawn by the whispers of destruction, drawn by the fear of what humanity had unleashed. The test was complete, the weapon was real. The galaxy would learn of it soon enough, and when that day came, the universe would no longer see humans as weak. They would see them as a force that could shatter worlds. The galaxy could no longer ignore the silence of humanity. The whispers had become shouts. The image of a moving moon had shaken the council. But the strange energy burst had turned fear into certainty. The humans were hiding something powerful, something too dangerous to leave unchecked, and now the empires wanted answers. At the edge of human space, fleets gathered. The Croth Dominion arrived first, their warships sharp and black like blades in the void. They claimed they came only to observe, but their cannons were already armed. The Shire followed, their insectoid ships moving in swarms that blocked out the starlight. The Volari brought their sleek silver cruisers, each carrying weapons meant to burn through shields soon. Dozens of empires had ships waiting at the borders of human territory. They watched and waited, but no human fleet came to greet them. Inside the council chamber, arguments broke out once more. "We must force them to reveal what they are building," hissed the Yelthar delegate. Its scaled body coiled tight with rage. "If we wait longer, they will have more of these monsters." The Volari spoke calmly but with sharp words. "If we act too soon, we may start a war we cannot win. Do you not remember their history? Humans fight like fire. They always find a way to turn weakness into strength. The Idari, ancient and glowing, tried to calm the storm. We will send a demand. We will order the humans to dismantle whatever they are building. If they refuse, then the council will take action together." It sounded wise. But everyone in the chamber knew the truth. The humans would never bow to orders. Far away on Earth, the message arrived. The council demanded that humanity reveal its weapons, dismantle its projects, and allow inspectors to enter their space. In return, they promised peace and protection. The leaders of humanity gathered in a dark chamber beneath the surface. They read the message in silence, their faces lit by the glow of holograms showing fleets massing at their borders. Finally, Admiral Kalen stood. His voice was calm but heavy. "They are afraid. That means we have succeeded. They want us to kneel, but they know they cannot force us unless they unite. If we show weakness now, we are finished," the chamber agreed. Humanity had no choice but to stand firm. Their reply was short. "Do not enter human space, and nothing more, nothing less." The answer spread across the galaxy like a storm. Entire empires froze in disbelief. "That is all they said?" The Croth roared. "They defy the council with two simple words?" The sheer swarms hissed in fury. The Volari whispered uneasily among themselves. Some argued for patience, others for war, but one thing was certain. No one could ignore humanity any longer. At the edge of human space, the waiting fleets decided to test the silence. A Croth warship crossed the border. Its engines burned bright, its weapons glowed. It sent a message into the void. "We come in the name of the council, show yourselves, or be forced into the light." The response was nothing. No human fleet appeared. No signal returned. The warship pressed deeper, confident in its strength. Behind it, more ships followed. Soon an entire alien armada was drifting through the dark, looking for the hidden truth. Their commanders laughed in their bridges. Perhaps the humans are bluffing, perhaps their weapons are lies, but deep in the void, something moved. Shadows shifted. A mass larger than the invaders' entire fleet drifted forward. At first, the aliens thought it was a planet, a dark rock caught in orbit. But then lights flickered across its surface, towers awoke, weapons came alive. A dreadnought revealed itself from the dark. The alien commanders fell silent. Their scanners screamed with readings too high to understand. The warship that appeared was larger than anything they had ever seen. Their fleets, once so proud, now looked like insects before a mountain. Some ships began to retreat, but it was too late. The dreadnought had awakened inside the massive ship. Admiral Kalen gave no long speech. His command was simple. Hold. Wait for them to act first. The Dreadnoughts' weapons remained cold, but its presence was enough. Entire fleets trembled. The alien commanders argued, some wanting to fire, others desperate to escape. Finally, one Croth captain lost his patience. His ship launched a volley of plasma fire. The blast struck the Dreadnought's armor, exploding in brilliant light. But when the glow faded, the ship was untouched. Not a single mark scarred its skin. The Dreadnought remained still, silent, watching. Fear spread like poison through the alien fleet. If one Dreadnought could ignore their weapons, what chance did they have against many? Whispers raced through the comms. Some captains ordered retreat. Others demanded an attack. But all of them knew the truth. They had awakened something they could not control. Back in the council, reports poured in, messages of panic, images of the Dreadnought's shadow, recordings of useless weapons exploding against its skin. The chamber erupted. "We must unite," one voice cried. "We must destroy the humans before they destroy us," but another voice whispered. Trembling, or perhaps it is already too late, and still, the humans said nothing. Their Dreadnought waited at the edge of the void, silent and unmoving, a wall of steel that spoke louder than any threat. The confrontation had begun, but the war was yet to come. The galaxy now understood that humanity would not bow, not with weapons that could crush moons beneath their fire. The alien fleet floated at the edge of human space. Its countless ships glowed with weapons ready to fire. Commanders shouted over comms, some demanding retreat, others thirsting for war. And in the middle of their confusion, the Dreadnought remained still. Its black armor reflected no light. Its countless towers of steel pointed silently at the stars. It looked less like a ship and more like a waiting god. For hours the fleet circled. The Croth Dominion pressed forward, their pride refusing to retreat. Their commander growled across the comms. "They will not move, they are afraid. Strike now, before their silence tricks us." His words burned in the ears of his captains. One by one, ships armed their weapons. The void filled with the hum of death waiting to be unleashed. Inside the Dreadnought, Admiral Kalen stood calm. His officers watched their screens nervously. The alien ships glowed like a swarm of angry sparks around them. "Do we fire?" one asked quietly. Kalen shook his head. "Not yet. They must strike first. Let the galaxy see who begins this war." His voice was steady, but deep in his chest he felt the weight of history pressing down. The Croth commander broke the silence. His fleet unleashed a storm. Beams of plasma and torrents of missiles shot through space. They slammed against the Dreadnought. Explosions lit the void like new stars. The alien ships roared in triumph, believing they had destroyed the monster. But when the fire faded, the Dreadnought was untouched. Not a scratch marked its armor. Its massive body still drifted silently. Watching, the alien cheers turned to whispers. Fear spread like ice. If their combined weapons could do nothing, what chance did they have? Admiral Kalen gave a single order. His voice was cold, sharp as a blade. "Return fire." The Dreadnought awoke. Its towers came alive. Cannons the size of cities glowed with power. Beams brighter than suns shot out in a single volley. 3 alien battleships vanished, torn apart like paper. The galaxy had never seen such destruction. Each shot was a storm. Each strike turned ships into fire and dust. The alien fleet panicked. Ships tried to scatter. But the Dreadnought's weapons followed them. Missiles burst like swarms of comets, cutting through their shields. Plasma cannons erased cruisers with a single hit. The swarm of sheer ships that had once moved like a cloud of insects was burned away in moments. Their formations shattered. Their commanders screamed. From the Council's secret listening posts, hidden probes recorded everything. The images raced across the galaxy. Empires watched in horror as fleets they once believed invincible were destroyed in minutes. A single human Dreadnought fought against hundreds, and the hundreds were losing. Inside the alien fleet, despair grew. "Fall back!" shouted the Valari commander. Her sleek silver ships turned away, engines burning desperately for escape. But even retreat was dangerous. The Dreadnought's weapons reached far, striking ships even as they fled. Trails of fire marked their path, proof of the massacre. Yet Kalen did not order total destruction. He raised his hand, and the Dreadnought's weapons fell silent. The void returned to quiet. The surviving alien ships drifted, broken bleeding sparks into space, but they were alive. Kalen's officers looked at him in shock. "Why stop? We could have destroyed them all." The Admiral's eyes were cold. "We do not need to destroy them, we need them to tell the story. Fear will spread faster than fire." And fear did spread. Across the galaxy, news of the battle raced. The Croth, once proud and defiant, had lost half their fleet in minutes. The Shire swarm was shattered, the Valari humiliated. Empires whispered to each other in panic. If one dreadnought can do this, how many do the humans have? No one knew the answer, and that question haunted them more than any truth. Back in the council chamber, the shouting never stopped. Some demanded immediate unification of all fleets. Others begged for peace before humanity struck again. The Idari spoke with trembling light. "We may already be too late. The balance of the galaxy is broken. The humans are no longer one of us. They are above us." No one could argue, because the truth was clear. The galaxy had seen the first battle, and the galaxy had lost on Earth. The people celebrated quietly. Rumors of the victory spread. Families whispered with pride. "Our ships are stronger than theirs. Our enemies fear us now." Children drew pictures of dreadnoughts blocking the stars. Soldiers walked with new fire in their hearts for the first time. Humanity was no longer prey. They were predators. But the leaders knew the danger was far from over. Kalen stood in the dreadnought's command chamber, staring at the stars beyond. "They will return, not as scattered fleets, but united, and when they do, even our dreadnoughts may be tested." His officers nodded, silence filling the room. Humanity had revealed its power. But power always drew enemies. The first battle was over. The dreadnought had stood against hundreds and won. The galaxy trembled in fear. But this was only the beginning, for in the darkness of shipyards hidden near dying stars, more dreadnoughts were being completed, waiting for their turn to awaken. Fear traveled faster than light. The news of the first battle spread across the galaxy like a storm that could not be contained. In every empire, from the smallest colonies to the most ancient worlds, the whispers turned into shouts. The humans had unleashed something no one believed possible. A single dreadnought had faced hundreds of ships and survived more than that. It had won. The council chambers filled with chaos, delegates shouted, their voices echoing against the golden walls. Some demanded war, others demanded surrender. The Croth Dominion burned with rage, their pride shattered by the loss of half their fleet. "We must gather every empire and crush them before they grow stronger," their commander roared. But the Valari delegate, still shaken from watching their silver cruisers flee in disgrace, spoke with a trembling voice. "Crush them? You saw what one ship did. Do you dare face 10? Or 20? What if they have 100? The chamber fell into uneasy silence. In the shadows of the chamber, spies listened. They sent every word back to human space. Humanity watched the galaxy argue and break apart. Admiral Kalen smiled without joy. "They will not unite, not now. Fear divides them. It always has." He knew the dreadnought's victory was worth more than any battle. The galaxy's unity had cracked. Across alien homeworlds, panic spread. Civilian markets collapsed. Traders refused to enter human space, afraid their ships would never return. Children whispered in fear of moons that moved and fired suns from their hearts. Soldiers questioned their commanders, asking if they could ever stand against such monsters. Whole cultures began to shift for the first time in centuries. The galaxy no longer saw humans as a young race. They saw them as a nightmare. The sheer swarm worlds fell into unrest. Their people demanded safety from the human threat. Riots broke out in their hive cities. "Where are our fleets?" The citizens cried. "Why can't we stop them?" The sheer commanders had no answer. Their fleets had already been turned to ash in the first encounter. Their people's faith in their strength was broken. The Croth Dominion tried to recover its pride. They called every captain to prepare for war, but whispers spread even within their ranks. Officers who had seen the battle told the truth in private. "Our weapons are useless, our ships are too small against them. We are nothing." Fear ate through their ranks faster than fire. The Valari, more cautious than others, chose another path. Their diplomats secretly reached out to humanity. Their messages were quiet, almost begging. "We do not seek war, we seek peace. Let us live beside you, not against you." They were not the only ones. Smaller empires began sending secret envoys to Earth, offering alliances, trade, even tribute, anything to be spared the wrath of the dreadnoughts. But not every race chose fear. Some chose hatred. In dark chambers of the council, conspiracies grew. "If the humans have built such ships, then perhaps we must build our own," whispered the Zyran Union. They began pooling resources, gathering engineers, dreaming of weapons that could match the Dreadnoughts. Others spoke of assassins, spies, sabotage, desperate plans to cut the humans down before they rose too high. Meanwhile, inside human space, the Dreadnoughts multiplied. Shipyards glowed in the shadows of dying stars. New giants awoke from steel wombs, each one larger, stronger, deadlier. Humanity did not need to boast, their silence was enough. Every empire imagined the number of ships growing. Every empire counted shadows that might not exist. Fear made the Dreadnought fleet larger than it truly was. And that was the greatest weapon of all on Earth. The people lived in a strange balance of pride and dread. Families gathered around holoscreens to watch rumors of alien panic. Children dreamed of becoming Dreadnought officers. Artists painted ships that blotted out suns, but some whispered in fear, if the galaxy unites against us. Even Dreadnoughts may not save us. Humanity had built monsters, but monsters often drew hunters. Admiral Kalen understood this truth. He stood in the Dreadnought's command chamber, staring at maps of shifting fleets across the galaxy. They fear us, but fear will not last forever. When fear turns into desperation, they will come. United, his officers looked uneasy. What will we do then? Kalen's gaze hardened. By then we will be ready. By then, our fleet will be complete. In the council chamber, debates raged without end. Every empire spoke of humanity, not of trade or politics. Humanity had become the center of the galaxy's thoughts. Some begged for mercy, some plotted destruction, but all feared the silence of a race that had built weapons too large to understand. And in the dark, far from the council's golden halls, the Dreadnoughts drifted. Silent and patient, they did not need to move. They did not need to fight, their existence was enough. The galaxy was already breaking itself apart, nations turning on each other, alliances cracking. Fear was the sharpest blade humanity had ever forged. Yet Kalen knew fear could not last forever. One day the galaxy would stop trembling and strike back. One day the Dreadnoughts would face more than scattered fleets. One day the true war would begin, but until then, humanity held the balance of power, and the galaxy lived in the shadow of their silence. The galaxy waited in silence. Every empire, every colony, every world held its breath. The council no longer argued about trade, or borders, or old grudges. They argued only about one thing, the humans. They had become the shadow hanging over every star. The rumor of their Dreadnoughts was no longer just a whisper. It was truth, and the truth was heavier than war itself. In secret chambers, leaders spoke in fear. If they strike, our fleets will burn, one said. If they march, our worlds will fall, another whispered. Some demanded unity, some demanded surrender, but no one dared to take the first step. They waited because all of them knew eventually the humans would speak, and finally the silence broke. Across every channel in the galaxy, across every screen, every device, a single signal cut through. It was not loud, it was not violent. It was calm, steady, cold. A human face appeared. Admiral Kalen stood before the galaxy. His uniform black, his eyes sharp as blades. Behind him, shadows moved. Shadows too large to be anything but Dreadnoughts. His voice carried across the stars. "We never wanted war," he said. His words were simple, but they struck harder than weapons. But we remember the years when humanity was treated as prey. We remember when fleets threatened Earth, when empires called us weak. We remember, and we will never kneel again. He raised his hand, and the view behind him shifted. The galaxy watched in horror as the Dreadnoughts moved into formation. Dozens of them, their armored bodies blotting out the starlight. Their outlines were so large that planets looked small beside them. Cannons glowed faintly along their spines. The sight was enough to make even the bravest alien tremble. Kalen's voice returned. "We built these ships not for conquest, but for survival. If you enter human space, you will not return. If you bring your war, you will not win. The time of humiliation is over. The time of fear is yours now." The message ended, but the image of the Dreadnoughts remained in every mind. Across the galaxy, silence followed. No one spoke, no one dared. The mighty Croth Dominion, once eager for battle, recalled its fleets. The Shire swarm retreated into its hive worlds, licking its wounds. The Valari, already whispering for peace, now begged for alliances. Whole empires began to shift. Entire cultures bent beneath the weight of fear. On smaller worlds, civilians trembled at the sight. Some prayed to their gods, believing the humans had become divine punishers. Others cursed their leaders for provoking such monsters. Merchants refused to travel near human space. Soldiers looked at their weapons and wondered if they were even worth holding. The galaxy's balance had shattered. But humanity was not united in joy in the halls of command. Some officers felt pride, others felt dread. They had seen what their creations could do. They had watched moons turn to dust, fleets vanish into sparks. "We have become the very monsters we once feared," one whispered. But Kalen silenced them. "No, we have become the shield. The galaxy will never chain us again." Yet even Kalen knew the truth. Fear was not eternal. One day, the galaxy would rise, united not by pride, but by desperation. One day, they would gather every empire, every fleet, and throw them all against humanity. And when that day came, the Dreadnoughts would face their true test. Until then, fear was enough. In the council chamber, the Ayadari spoke softly, their crystal body glowing faintly. "If they wished to rule us, they could. If they wished to burn us, they would, but they do not. That is what frightens me most." The chamber remained quiet, because deep inside, every delegate felt the same. The humans did not conquer, they simply stood, and their standing was enough to shake the galaxy. Back in human space, the Dreadnought fleet drifted in silence. More giants awakening each day. Shipyards burned bright with new construction. Engineers worked tirelessly. Pilots trained endlessly. Humanity was preparing for a future war, even if it never came. They knew peace bought by fear was not true peace. It was only borrowed time. On Earth, children looked to the skies with awe. They whispered dreams of joining the fleet, of standing on the bridge of a dreadnought, of watching the stars bow before them. Parents spoke with pride but also with unease. "We are safe now," they said. Though deep in their hearts they wondered, safe for how long? Admiral Kalen stood at the edge of the viewing deck, his eyes fixed on the endless void. The dreadnoughts floated below him, lined up like a wall of gods. "We have given the galaxy its warning," he murmured. "Let them choose, let them fear, let them wait." He knew the message would echo for centuries. But in the dark corners of the galaxy, hidden voices began to whisper. If humans can build dreadnoughts, what else can they build? It was a question that carried terror, but also hope for those who wished to resist. The galaxy had not seen the end of this story. It had only seen the first chapter. For now, the humans stood unchallenged, their planet-sized dreadnoughts casting shadows across the stars. The galaxy bowed in silence, but silence was fragile, and somewhere, in the emptiness between stars, destiny waited for the day fear would no longer be enough.